Man, thank you. Thank you for joining me on this video. It's really amazing to see your beautiful face. My name is Thomas Brush. I'm the creator of a game called Pinstripe. I'm also working on a game called Once Upon a Coma. I quit my job a couple years ago to make video games. It's awesome, and I want to ask you one simple question. Are you cut out to be able to quit your job? You know, most of the time, I really want to be encouraging to people, so I just say, go for it, quit your job, pursue your dreams, you can do it, best of luck to you, break a leg. But really, right now, I want to be honest with you and say, if you don't have these following 5 traits that we're going to talk about to be an indie game developer and quit your job, don't quit your job. Maybe figure out these traits before you actually quit your job. So what are these traits? Well, let's start with the first one. The first one is follow through. Do you have follow through? Are you able to actually complete something, anything? Right now, sort of sit and think about maybe some things that you've quit. Can you count them on one hand? Or do you need like 6 hands? Have you quit school? Have you quit certain creative endeavors and projects? Have you quit too many jobs to count? Have you been unable to follow through with maybe previous indie games that you've made? This is a really important question to ask because frankly, if you quit your job to make indie games, you've got to finish those games. You quit your job, you can't quit indie games. You've got to pursue them. And the thing is that it takes a couple years before things actually work out. And I know that might be kind of depressing and a lot to take in right now, but really it takes a while to get games off the ground. For me, it took almost 5 years to finish my first game. So I didn't actually quit my job and then work for 5 years without making a single penny, right? I actually had to work a day job for 3 years, and I worked on that game while I worked that day job. I wasn't ready to quit until I was almost done with the game, and I actually had some funding and revenue from Kickstarter to actually quit my job and pursue full-time that game. So follow through is crucial if you actually want to make games for a living. So don't quit your job if you feel like you've quit other things. So here's a good rule of thumb. That's my thumb. He's saying don't quit your job unless, what are you saying? You're saying what are you saying? So here's a good rule of thumb. Here's my thumb. Don't quit your job if you've quit other things. All right, figure out how to actually follow through and finish things before quitting your job. But if you feel like you've been disciplined and you actually finish things in your life and you feel like you're pretty good at following through on your projects, then go for it, quit your job. Well, that is to say, if you have these remaining 4 traits. So the second thing is personal skills. Duh, right? Duh, have some personal skills. Some of you might be watching this video and being like, why am I watching this video if this guy's telling me I need personal skills? This guy doesn't even have personal skills. You're right, I don't. But when I'm actually pitching my ideas to people, when I'm sending emails, or when I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign, I'm very personable. I actually wasn't born with personality. I was born with, what can you say? I wasn't born with personal skills. I was kind of nerdy, weird, a little too quirky. Like there's cool weird and then there's like really weird, like I don't want to talk to that guy. That was me. And so I realized if I want to be successful in the indie game industry and just the game industry in general, I need to learn how to actually talk to people and actually be professional and also be kind and maybe show a little bit of empathy to people, even in a business setting. And so what I did was I read a book called Think and Grow Rich, and then I also read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. These books sound like such stupid self-help books, but the truth is they can change your life. They changed mine, and I learned so much by just reading these books. So give it a shot. Become personable. If you feel like you're not a personable person right now, maybe take a couple months, maybe a year, to figure out how to be personable if you're going to quit your job and pursue indie game development full-time. Now, because of me being a personable person, I was able to secure funding from Kickstarter, from publishers, from Patreon, get views on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Ultimately, making games is kind of a little bit selling games and making really cool games, and then also a little bit being personable. All this stuff comes together to actually make a company and a brand where you can sell your games. All right, the third trait you've got to have before you quit your job is you've got to be talented in every way. You have to know how to do everything. And if you can't, I'm sorry, you're a loser. No, the truth is that really you just need one talent. This might sound kind of cheesy, but if you feel like you don't really have a talent You really do. You've really just got to find the confidence and really test your experiences. So don't be afraid to actually test out yourself and your capabilities. And hopefully that talent, that instinct that you have deep down will sort of pop out. Now for some people, they have talent across the board. They can write music, they can develop games, they can do artwork, they can do design, they can code, they can do everything. But most indie developers actually have one single talent that they're really good at, and they figure out how to put the spotlight of their game on that one talent. So if your talent is art direction, then use that talent, really focus on it, because other areas of your game that you might not be able to afford or have time to do, or even the skill to do, you can actually focus on that one thing that you're good at. The fourth trait you need to be able to tell your boss,
I hate you. I hate you.
is curiosity. The thing about curiosity is it helps you find out ways to make money. So when you first quit your job, you're actually going to be confused because you're like, okay, I'm going to make a game. How do I make money if I don't have a game made? Well, you got to be curious. You've got to sniff around and find money elsewhere while you make your game. So let me just give you some examples of ways that you can be curious to find money in other areas other than selling your game. Kickstarter, Patreon. I actually can't, let's see here. Kickstarter, Patreon, YouTube, Indiegogo, pre-orders, publishers, funding, online classes, Udemy, you name it. There's a ton of options out there to make money. So be curious about all of these opportunities. Don't be closed-minded. Pull yourself out of your little box and look around. There's plenty of opportunities to make money elsewhere. Now, this doesn't mean you can't sell copies of your games. You can actually do great by selling copies of your games, but until you have 2 or 3 games made, you've got to find ways to bring in residual income into your studio. Be curious, and hopefully that'll pay off. Now, the 5th trait you need to be able to quit your job and tell your boss that he's a stupid idiot is humility. Be a humble person. Tell your boss that he is a moron, a moronic idiot. Be humble. Now, the thing about humility is it's actually really difficult, obviously. You can't be proud when you're jumping into an industry that is so confusing, always changing, and really requires the support of 1,000 people around you, right? You've got to be humble. You can't be cocky about your game. Take advice, take criticism well. When I started stepping into indie game development when I was 18 years old, I had no idea what I was doing. 10 years later, I have no idea what I'm doing, okay? And that is why it's important to be humble. If you take advice from people, if you learn from people who are smarter than you, or better yet, reach out to industry legends, people who have done it, who have been successful in the indie game industry, that is where the money is made. Finding not only good advice from people, but also being able to sit on their shoulders and having them help you promote your game, that is priceless. That is the most important part of being able to quit your job. Be humble, because it is crazy out here in the indie game industry. All right, guys, thanks again for watching this video. My name is Thomas Brush. I make video games. I've been making video games for 10 years. I post videos every day about indie game development. I love doing this. I love that you're here. I love that you watch these videos. Please hit subscribe, hit the like button and the bell button, and then comment. Ask me questions, and I'd love to answer them. I also have a Patreon account. If you want to head on over to Patreon and support me, that helps me make videos and make games. These are the 2 things that I love doing in life. If you want to support, that would mean the world to me. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.